Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome to the Hearts and Stripes podcast. This is your host, Bree Carroll, wrapping up season 6 of the podcast. Listen, 2023 has been a year, okay? It has been a whole year, and in this episode, I'm going to be transparent and share what's been going on behind the scenes and also kind of recapping what 2023 has looked like for Military Marriage Day and some other things. And I can be honest and say that 2023 was a challenge, okay? It was very difficult. Let's start with from the Military Marriage Day side. And let me actually start by saying, even though it was a challenge, a huge thank you to everyone who showed up, who supported, who shared Military Marriage Day with other friends and couples. It is something really special to be said that despite all of the challenges that we have for Military Marriage Day, that we still had a phenomenal year. So when I talk about challenges, what do I mean? More than anything, we had budget cuts, like some severe budget cuts as it relates to the programming. And doing Military Marriage Day year after year, we always want to make each year better than the next. And I think we did that this year. We had to be creative, and we really had to lean on the support of our Military Marriage Day ambassadors. Shout out to you. Because of you, we hit some tremendous milestones and did make this year better, even though we were combating just the financial climate going on today, right? So some of the things that we did do an amazing job with is we have hit our 25 or our 50% mark of getting state proclamations. So we have our 25 proclamations, which is amazing because for anyone who is tracking the growth and the progress of Military Marriage Day, it is one of the essential things that we're going after to get all 50 state proclamations recognizing Military Marriage Day. Why is that important? It's important because with having all of our states recognizing Military Marriage Day, we are better positioned to get a presidential proclamation. With getting that presidential proclamation, that will help us and facilitate us in being DOD recognized. Now, when we become DOD recognized, that opens the door for us to provide more resources and connection points on our military installations. The benefit to that is you'll have those who already serve on installation, like our BX in exchange, right? They are able to put dollars towards giving back to our military couples for Military Marriage Day, similar to how they are able to give and do things for like a Valentine's Day. They're able to give and do things for like a Purple Heart Day, with it being DOD recognized. That opens the door for people who already support our military community and maybe even on installation, they are able to truly plug and do things. This also helps with the hurdle, if you will, with having our chaplains facilitate some things on installation as it relates to Military Marriage Day. So the goal behind, and I know I don't want anybody to think that it's just numbers when it comes to our proclamations, but it's important because with being DOD recognized comes a lot of opportunity of some tangible things and ways that we can support our service community on installation, right? And have more people bought in to how we can show up and support our military families in a very real way with Military Marriage Day. So that is a huge milestone that we hit, getting to the 50% mark. So that up leveled this year, right? Another big win that we had this year were our in-person celebrations, which were phenomenal. Shout out to Hawaii, shout out to DC. It was just so great to see that. And then even the smaller group celebrations, if you will, you know, a lot of couples got together and just did a date night, or they did something intentional with other couples to celebrate Military Marriage Day. And that's really what it's all about. So we're really, really grateful for those two really big wins. And then the third would be having another year of the virtual celebration, which is accessible to all because it's still free, it's still online, and we intend to keep it that way. Some of the challenges that we had due to some of the cuts in the budget is just ensuring that people it's a challenge, but I'd actually like to reframe that and call it more of a transition. We're transitioning over to the YouTube channel. Why? Because it's a lot easier for people to watch the replays and have a touch point with the content there. So a lot of our 7-day countdown was posted and available and premiered there, and it will live there, as opposed to in the Facebook group, which is where people usually view the 7-day countdown and the lives that we do. So that is taking a learning curve, if you will, to ensure that people are paying attention to the YouTube channel. The long-term heart behind that is to have some level of programming and content and resources shared there 365. I think in this first push to do that, it may start off with primarily, we've highlighted things during Military Marriage Day, which is in August. We're looking at doing something in February and in August. So that'll be 2 times during the year, and then we'll maybe ramp up to quarterly. So stay tuned for that. That is another exciting move, but also a challenging one, because with the past 3 years, we primarily streamed on Facebook. Now we're moving a lot of that content to YouTube, so that people have easier access to finding someone's talk or searching to get the content that they're looking for, versus Facebook, which is a great platform for connection. It wasn't as great of a platform for people to tap into the really great information that was shared in some of these talks and being able to find that. So that has been a challenge. Another thing with which again, it does go back to the cuts, but it more so goes to a bandwidth thing, which is the Military Marriage Day app. So grateful for all those who have downloaded the Military Marriage Day app. If you haven't already, please go ahead and do so. We are excited because as this episode drops in October, we are rolling out a big push to increase the resources that we have available for search in the app. So the app is primarily, or the primary function for the app is the resource hub. You can go in there, you can see links for the different resources that are free to you as a military family. You can even go in there and find different types of resources. So if you're looking for something more one-on-one, something more group, if you're looking for a product or a podcast or a book, something like that, those are also in the app. And we are adding this month the I forgot what we're titling it. You'll see it in there, but it's more so a crisis, if you will, search option or header, to where if you did need any separation support, or if you're in a relationship that is not healthy and it is harmful, more critical resources will be there so that people can also get the help that they need. Because at the heart of all of this, we want you to be marriage strong. We want you to be in healthy, sustainable relationships. And if you find yourself in a situation that is harmful, that is not healthy, that cannot be sustained, we want to ensure that resources are available and information is there to support you as well. So that is kind of the military marriage day side of things. We have some exciting things brewing for 2024, but we won't share that here. You'll have to wait till the next season. And anyone who is interested in being a part of 2024, maybe you've come across the platform and you're like, hey, I'd love to be on the podcast. I would make a great service provider. I have a great tip or some advice, some life lessons, things that I would love to share. Please do share that information, share and connect with us so that we can highlight you, because at the heart of it all, Military Marriage Day is a platform to shine the light on the resources that we are, or I should really say bridge the gap between the resources and our service families, right? And we want to continue to do that. So we want to know who you are. We want to connect with you. And if you are just a listener and you just have been a longtime supporter of the Hearts and Stripes podcast, and as it's grown into Military Marriage Day, thank you. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear how we can implement some of the things and the ideas that you have, because really this platform is here for you, to serve you. So we always want to hear how we can up-level the experience, how we can up-level the connection points, how we can up-level the content, and maybe even discuss topics that we haven't covered yet here on the podcast and within Military Marriage Day. So please share, reach out, connect, talk with us. We want to know how you see Military Marriage Day growing and how it can better support you as you are on your journey of continuing to be Mil Marriage Strong. So that is the official side of the house. Now, let me share some transparency with the behind the scenes of just as the founder walking through Military Marriage Day and the growth of it. And just in my personal life, I found that this year for Military Marriage Day was challenging because I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you manage something and you feel very self-conscious about the thing that you manage because you feel like you're not doing it well yourself. So I feel like oftentimes we have these responsibilities, and I, with all of my heart, I want to steward Military Marriage Day well, right? I want to continue to ensure that it's going in the direction that it needs to. We are in the process of looking at making it a nonprofit. Like, officially on paper, we operate as one, which is great. But I think there's something to have those that tax incentives and be able to partner and receive grants for a lot of the programming and the things that we want to do. But at the same time, we're all human. Everybody behind the scenes is human, right? Maybe we'll tap into more AI functionality sometime, but everybody who works behind the scenes is human. And when I did a pulse check, a couple of months prior to Military Marriage Day with our ambassadors, I just said, hey, how is everybody doing? There were several people who were just not okay. Okay. There were several people who are not okay. And I want to normalize the concept that it is okay to not be okay. And the interesting thing about Military Marriage Day and how a lot of organizations and functions that support our service community, it is also spearheaded by our service community, which is a challenge in and of itself, because sometimes the people who are executing, who are doing the thing, are the people who need support. And that is a challenge in and of itself. It's one that I found myself in a position of need during Military Marriage Day. In fact, during Military Marriage Day, like on August the 14th, I had it scheduled to have a one-on-one session or a couples counseling session for my spouse so we could get on the same page, because we did not like each other at that time. We did not like each other. We weren't communicating. We had a lot of breakdowns from the past assignment that he had that trickled into this assignment. We had to reestablish how we worked together. We felt like we weren't on the same page. We didn't feel like one another's priority. There was a lot that we needed to work through there. And yet, and still having to execute Military Marriage Day, I share that to say that it gave new appreciation, but also perspective for the work that we're doing, that it is not just for everybody out there. It's not. I want you to know that the things that are happening for Military Marriage Day, the hub, the messages that are shared, like these are also things that the people behind the scenes, me included, are utilizing and applying to our own relationships, because the work is never done on our marriages. The work is never done. I'll say it one more time. The work is never done. I remember early on when we were a newlywed couple, there was a conference called the XO conference that they do in Dallas, Texas. And the speaker for this particular evening used an analogy that I will always remember. He talked about marriage in the mindset of like aviation. And one of the rules that he gave for aviation, and one that we should also utilize in our marriages, is that we have to be aware that this airplane can crash, right? This airplane can crash. Your marriage can fail. Your marriage can end up in divorce and separation. And I feel like the sooner we acknowledge that these things are reality, the better off that we are, as opposed to ignoring and acting like it can't happen to us, right? If you are in a great place in your relationship, that is amazing. But what I'm talking about here is acknowledging that if you are not intentional about working on your marriage, things will slip through the cracks. Another way that he put it in his talk was, he was talking about like being on autopilot, and when you're and just that's also not a healthy way to manage a relationship. And I think that's kind of where my spouse and I fell, was we were a little bit on autopilot. The mission took precedent, the assignment that he had took precedent, and we kind of went and were doing our own things. So we were almost like roommates, or high-fiving as he came, back in the door, I was going out the door, or a lot of those behaviors, which was not healthy. And it broke down one of the things that I value the most in our relationship, was our ability to communicate and to be a team. And when those two things were left to being put on autopilot, that's where we started to see the red flashing in the cockpit of our relationship, right? So on Military Marriage Day, we leaned on Made for Marriage. They are one of our partners for Military Marriage Day. They sponsor and support Military Marriage Day. But beyond that, they were there for us to have the hard conversations about our relationship and how we get through this season of discomfort, frustration, so that we can figure out the things that we had to maybe go back, have the conversation, reprioritize, take ownership for. Like, I appreciate Made for Marriage. So shout out to Earl and Nicole, who in real time during Military Marriage Day, like while the celebration video was streaming and going out, we were having real conversations about strengthening our marriage. And I think that also made me feel like if there was any other place that I would be on Military Marriage Day, I was in the right spot. That's where I needed to be. And I don't mean to get emotional about it, but I think oftentimes people see the bright colors and the other factors that go into Military Marriage Day, and it's like a happy rose-colored glasses, like perspective on marriage. But the reality is, if there was anything that I would want for our service couples, it is that they take the time during Military Marriage Day and truly look at where are you in your relationship, to get off autopilot and to look at each other and have real conversations about where you want to go and what you want to work towards. Start dreaming again. Start revisiting the things that you kind of pushed off, and you're just allowing military life to happen to you. Military Marriage Day and the focus of Hearts and Stripes and all the things that we do is so that people can pause, maybe take a tool or a tip, maybe search that resource, click that link in the hub, right? And get information, but also take action. And I think that this Military Marriage Day, this season of Hearts and Stripes podcast just felt different. And I think it's a good different. I think it is, we are getting settled in. It is the end of our cycle for those who haven't been tracking. We have 4 primary pillars, and this was the 4th year. So this was the conclusion of that cycle. So next year's theme will be talking about celebrate. This year we talked about build. And when I tell you this has truly been a build year, we are definitely rebuilding some things personally and forward facing. And I think that's a great place to be. So thank you for the opportunity for me to be vulnerable here on what's going on behind the scenes. But if I could leave you with anything for season 6, it would be that take this opportunity before 2023 comes to an end, and think about how you can be intentional about building your relationship. And what does that really take? Like, what does that really take for you personally, for your spouse personally, and for you collectively to build your marriage? I hope that the updates that we are doing to the app help serve you. I hope that something that is said here on the Hearts and Stripe podcast serve you. I hope that you are able to look back at the Military Marriage Day celebration and even past celebrations and the talks that have been shared there. I hope that serves you as you build your marriage. But the reality is, you have to take the first step. And that's something that we put into practice this year. And I'm hoping that by sharing it, you feel comfortable with using that as an example so that you can take your own first step. So I will wrap by answering my own favorite question on the podcast, which is talking about a heart track. Now, I'll be honest, I wanted to be really ratchet on this episode and choose Jadakiss, We Gonna Make It. That is a nod to my Jersey roots with Rough Riders. But all of the lyrics didn't quite hit what I needed it to do. But the chorus of it is We Gonna Make It. And that's how I feel about my marriage. And that's how I feel about Military Marriage Day. Throughout the challenges, the transitions, the hard conversations, we gonna make it. So maybe that'll be like a bonus. That's a sidebar if you are open to hearing something a little ratchet. But I will say the heart track or the heart that will close season 6 on is Kim, I Can't Stop Loving You. I think that song and just listening to it was a great reminder of why we fell in love in the first place. And even though we have grown and changed as people, right? I can't stop loving you. So that's my heart track for this episode. Is something that I feel personally in my marriage relationship. So shout out to you, honey. But also that's how I feel about Military Marriage Day. Like, I cannot stop this passion that I have for serving our service community and wanting to see people walk through exciting and thriving and sustainable marriage relationships, because I know the impact that it has on the family. I know what it has, that impact that it has generationally. I know the impact that it has in our units, right? When they're healthy, they're able to come together in a way and serve on a different level and be support mil spouse to mil spouse, service member to service member, and they need to be supported in that way. We're able to have healthy conversations and have healthy relationships at home, which translates to healthy relationships outside of the house. Like, I can't stop loving that because I know the impact that it has. So, heart track for this episode, I Can't Stop Loving You by Kim. So I hope that you all enjoy that. And that is a wrap. That is it for season 6 I hope that you have enjoyed this season. I hope that you have enjoyed Military Marriage Day 2023. And we will be back soon sharing more on how to strengthen our military marriages and a little bit more on what 2024 has in store for all of us. So have a great rest of your year. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening here. Be sure to follow, rate, review, download the app, and send us a message, militarymarriageday@gmail.com. If you have any feedback, insight that you want to share, something that you would like to see in 2024, we would love to hear from you. And then you can find all of this information and how to contact us at www.militarymarriageday.com. So that is all for season 6. Thank y'all, and we will chat again soon. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few, the proud, that aim high and are forged by love. Always ready, always there. We are Mill Marriage Strong.